So about that time, Jesus was walking one day. He was walking through some grain fields with his disciples, which even though we haven't seen him yet, we are still his disciples of Christ, or we can be his disciples of Christ. But this was on a Sabbath, particularly on a Sabbath. So the Jewish leaders are doing their customary rituals that they do on Sabbath. And it says particularly it's the Jewish day of worship, the Jewish day of worship. And his disciples were hungry. So they began breaking off heads of wheat, eating the grain. But this sect of Jewish leaders, the Pharisees, saw them doing this and they protested. They were getting very upset. They did not like this at all. They were saying to Jesus, your disciples are breaking the law. They are harvesting on the Sabbath, harvesting on the Sabbath. They would be harvesting souls on the Sabbath. Jesus says to the Pharisees, have you not ever read what King David said, or what he did when he and his friends were hungry? He went into the temple and he ate the special bread permitted to the priests alone. See, Jesus is the temple, and he is that special bread. And it was seen to be permitted for the Jewish leaders alone and not the Gentiles. This is how they would see it without even knowing that Jesus is the Messiah and he is that special bread and he is the temple. That's crazy. I'm just not picking that up right now. So Jesus goes into the temple, or he says that King David went to the temple, ate the special bread permitted to the priests alone. And Jesus says to them, that was breaking the law too. And have you not ever read in the law of Moses how the priests on duty in the temple may work on the Sabbath? So he's asking them, well, what about this law? If y'all going to nitpick and pick out these different laws and different things, hey, isn't that crazy? They're saying that about free speech, right? Well, yeah, you have free speech if you say it like this, or if you say it like that, or if you say this, then that's all right. But if you say that, then it's not all right. So Jesus is saying you can't follow this law, but not follow this law. So the priest on duty in the temple may work on the Sabbath. Jesus goes on to say, and truly one is here who is greater than the temple, talking about himself. But if you had known the meaning of the scripture verse, quote, I want you to be merciful more than I want your offerings, end quote, you would not have condemned those who are not guilty. For I, the Messiah, am master even of the Sabbath. The Messiah is the anointed one. That's why he is Yeshua HaMashiach. And Jesus goes over to the synagogue and notices there a man with a deformed hand. And the Pharisees are provoking Jesus by this question that they ask. They go, is it legal to work by healing on the Sabbath day? As it says here, they were, of course, hoping he would say yes so they could arrest him. They've been plotting and scheming to arrest Jesus, to get him caught up in something that he's going to say, but they don't know that he is God in the flesh, and he knows everything that they're thinking. This was his answer. Jesus said to them, if you had just one sheep and it fell into a well on that Sabbath, would you rescue it that day? One sheep falls into a well. Would you rescue it, even on a Sabbath? Of course you would, Jesus says. And how much more valuable is a person than a sheep? These are the things that make those religious people think. They can talk all they want, can be loud all they want, but when they're all by themselves, they're thinking about what he just said to them. Still true to this day. The truth. You may not like the truth in a public arena. You may not like the truth in the private arena, but when you're in the private arena by yourself, and whatever that truth is that you heard that day or the day before, that's 2 days before, has planted itself in your mind, because that's what the truth does. It plants itself. Lies have to be covered up, watered, and everything like that. They have to be nurtured. They have to be told time and time again so they can actually produce nothing but thorns, because that's all lies are. The truth plants itself and it speaks for itself. So Jesus goes over to the synagogue. The Pharisees are trying to plot and scheme to get him arrested. Jesus talks about the sheep falling into the well. How much more valuable is than a sheep? Yes, it is right to do good on the Sabbath, Jesus says. That's like common sense. Then he said to the man, stretch out your arm. And as he did, his hand became normal, just like the other one. The Pharisees, then they got together, they called a meeting, and they wanted to, like it says, plot Jesus' arrest and death. Now, why would they want to do that to somebody he's not talking anything bad? It's everything good. And we see this in this world today, like you say anything that's good, you could say things that's good, but it offends somebody, therefore it's bad. Not trying to offend anybody. The truth doesn't offend anybody. You offend yourself. The demons get offended more than anything. That's what it is, because this is a spiritual war. And that's what he's talking about here. Pharisees called up a meeting to plot Jesus' arrest and death. Now, if they were of God and they were thinking about what was being said in the scripture, then they wouldn't be plotting and scheming to arrest him and to kill him. But he knew what they were planning. Jesus knew what they were planning because he's God in the flesh. Example, is omnipotent. He's omniscient. He knew what they were planning. He left the synagogue and with many following him. So he left. He's like, I already know what they're going to try to do. I might as well just leave. Dust my shoes off and move on. He healed all the sick that was among them. He cautioned them against spreading the news about his miracles, because there's no reason to talk about the miracles that you're going to go and you're going to be no better than the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, who went out into the public and like, look what we did, look what we did. He cautions them about spreading the news. This fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah concerning him. And from Isaiah it says, look at my servant, see my chosen one. He is my beloved, in whom my soul delights. I will put my spirit upon him, and he will judge the nations. He does not fight nor shout. He does not raise his voice. He does not crush the weak or quench the smallest hope. He will end all conflict with his final victory, and his name shall be the hope of all the world. After he had said this about the Isaiah prophecy, a demon-possessed man, both blind and unable to talk, was brought to Jesus. Jesus healed him so that he could both speak and see. The crowd was amazed. And then the group they exclaim amongst each other out loud. That means the Romans can hear it. That means the religious leaders can hear it. They exclaim, maybe Jesus is the Messiah. Maybe Yeshua is the Messiah. And we're shifting. His ministry on earth wasn't even that long. And he shifted so many people's minds from the old law to being fulfilled, what they will call the new law. But it isn't. It's just kind of summed up. He finished it, or finishing it. So we're in 12:24 right now. I just read the first 24. And honestly, if you're watching this video, then read 24 through 50, 25 more verses. Read those. I'm gonna come on here tomorrow in the morning, and I'm gonna do the next 25, 20, 26, whatever it is, verses left, lines left in verse 12, chapter 12. Appreciate y'all watching. You do not have to like, share, and subscribe. That's not what this is about. I'm just trying to get the word out there. So I appreciate y'all watching. Peace out from Santa Barbara. Have a blessed day, y'all.